infrastructure. We're going to need all the eyes we can possibly obtain when this stuff comes down. Number two is people be grateful for the help you're getting, no matter where it comes from. As Drake knows, I'm not really what you call educated on the ET thing. That's not my specialty in this. My specialty in this is, well, the people at large. Look, folks, we got to learn to do this stuff right. Don't fall prey into stupidity. If you don't see military moving against the people, well, that'll say what they're there for. Don't get in their way. I'm going to be instructing the militias to help, not hinder. This won't be a time to fall prey to stupidity, folks. This will be a time for level heads, integrity, and honor to come out. That way we can look back on this in years and say, wow, look what we've done. I myself, even though I've never met an ET or anything else, I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to be grateful for whatever help comes my way to see this thing through. And Drake, you're right, my friend. There comes a time and place where, well, things got to move. And folks, we see this move, well, it's our time. Be listening to Drake. Make sure you pay attention to what's said. I know there's a lot of confusion going on out there. Remember the disinfo agents, folks. They're out there to confuse your mind. It's pretty a simple thing. And I would say keep it simple as you can in your mind. Remember, military ain't moving against the people. They're not the enemy. They're your friend. You help in any way you can. You'll see the militia out there. Help them. Support them any way you can. Guard your community's infrastructure at all cost. At all cost. Don't be afraid to act if that's what you feel like you got to do to stop something that's bad going on. It's going to affect everybody.
Thank you, Rick. In the chat room, Drake and Rick, people are asking a lot about, who's the good guys and the bad guys, and like they're saying they're scared of their local police departments. But they're saying, should we hook up with county sheriffs and not local police, or might the local police be on our?
We should be hooking up with anybody that's helping. Period. You don't see people moving against the people other than rioters. Look, folks, rioting is bad. That's the way it is. If you're going to be part of the riot, well, get ready for people to move against you. That's the way it is. We don't need that kind of action going on. I would suggest to our listeners is to remember honor and integrity. Keep it at the top. Get with people you see that are starting to fail. Talk sense to them. Tell them, look, why would we go and riot when we can go guard things? We should be guarding the stores, guarding whatever we can in our communities to keep them from being disrupted. That's what I'm saying. That's how you'll know your enemy. The enemy's going to be doing the bad things. You see people getting rounded up out of their homes, things like that. Those are bad activities, folks. Like I said, don't get caught up in rioting and looting and things like that. Remember, those aren't honorable actions at all. They don't hold any integrity and balance. What we need is people that are going to be calm, cool, and collect, even the ones that are going to be afraid right now. Folks, if you don't think all of us aren't going to be a little afraid, well, that's just not human nature. That's not true. Some people just hold together better in their minds than others do when it comes to fear. And that's what we need. We need the people that, well, have good common sense, the honor and the integrity to step forward at that time and to lead the others to do good things, folks, not bad. And as Drake said, don't be so quick to just start popping the trigger on them guns. That's not a good thing either. Here again, honor and integrity. Just learn to know your enemy well. They're rounding people up out of their homes. That's the bad guys. Stop them at all costs. If they are not doing that, you see that rioting has took off, looting has took off, well, do your part. You don't want your infrastructure tore down. You want to keep it intact. Folks, this ain't going to last forever. What are you going to have at the end of it? It's what you better be asking yourself.
there's another part to this, Rick.
Go ahead.
And that's quite simply that everybody needs to be aware of one thing. Number one, the bad guys are looking for an excuse to see whether or not they can use the power they supposedly have. I will strongly suggest that at the point that they would declare martial law or something of that nature, they would have an extraordinary problem. The second part of this is that what you got to realize is that the troops are just as nervous and skittish and whatnot as we are. This is a very nerve-wracking time. Once long ago it was said these are the times that try men's souls. Well, if you ain't practiced gritting your teeth, you might try that. Restraining yourself from going ahead and taking an action, because an action sometimes is a lot easier than not. That's like standing up to somebody who would love to punch the whatever out of you and never throwing a first punch, but asking the person what their mama might think or whatever. There's a lot of different ways you can go about this, but the idea is to do not be the first to engage unless, as Rick says, you see people being pulled out of their houses. It's time to fight back against those forces. The second part of it is that you see somebody packing packages around the base of a bridge or a cell phone tower or a tower that has high power electric lines. They ain't doing the right thing. And believe me, one gunshot will be, first of all, totally unexpected. And secondly, generally, they'll seek cover. Don't do a second shot unless you got to. And when you do, get a target this time. And I know it ain't easy to shoot somebody. I've done that the first time as a real mother. It generates nightmares. Some people puke. There's a whole lot of things that goes with this that ain't nice. I'm hoping, quite honestly and openly hoping that none of this happens. There's a lot of people out there who do not need something like that following them around the rest of their lives, irrespective as to their age. The gist of this is that due to the fact that the globalists, and I mean that literally, the NWO people, have decided that it's time for them to exercise their power. They feel we are ready, that we are too busy sitting on the couch watching reruns of some movie and drinking beer, or on Sunday you went to church in the morning and got absolved of all the nasty things you did during the week, or whatever your situation might be, that we're not going to even notice. That's one of the purposes for these shows. I want all the eyeballs open. Now, you ain't got to be open to the fact of everything that's going on, but just be aware that there's some fun and games afoot, that there are some people who would like to maybe take a stab at Terminators ruling the planet, your lives, your family. And by Terminators, I'm talking about a cold-blooded type of individual. It don't matter who it is, pull the trigger, move on, no problem. These people are not fazed. They're not bothered by this stuff simply because they don't have any conscience. They have either sold their soul to the devil, as it's called, or given up all rights to anything good and would use that good as a weapon against you. You're dealing with some really nasties. Now, there ain't a whole lot of these, but there are a few. There may be a situation, and I'm going to elucidate on this. I'm going to bring this out to the light simply because you need to be aware of it, where in a suppression, that's what they call, putting down a riot, retaining or regaining control of numbers of persons too large for local law enforcement to properly control. You may find one in the group that will accidentally pull the trigger. This may be the provocateur, the double agent, the sleeper that's been placed by the cabal to start it. And it's going to take great restraint, and I mean great restraint, not to. The first thing to look at is whether or not that person is relieved of their weapon. If they are, then they are going to be adjudicated for their actions. Hopefully, at the worst, they'll only superficially wound somebody, that it won't be a good shot. Now, you got to remember, you get real nervous, you're liable to do a knee jerk and pull the trigger by accident. That means keep your finger off the trigger. You can be ready to go, locked, loaded, primed. All you got to do is pull the trigger and it works. If you keep your finger off the trigger, you physically are then more in control. And anybody that knows anything about prize fighting, when you can get your opponent to get mad and try to get even and do stupid things, you got them. This is the reverse psychology that could be used in some of these events. I'm not going to say absolutely that they will be, but I'm warning people that they are a possibility. The cabal, although it's on its knees, ain't near done yet. This is why at the beginning of this show, when I finally got my stuff together and got on there, I called for people to be ready, absolutely ready to go, but don't engage. That's not your place, unless, as I said, and Rick said, if you're pulling people out of the house, or they're going and doing things of this nature, that's a no-no. That's not constitutional. And those people, therefore, are the enemy. So you have to bear these things in mind. You have to be update, and you have to be able to take the most extraordinary excitement in your whole life.
Excuse me, Drake. Excuse
yes.
me, Drake. I just wanted to let you know that Joanne Moretti is also holding on the line.
She was the one that I got a lot of the information on Agenda 21 and what it's doing, what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe you can bring her up. I'd like to ask her if she knows what day they're going to vote on this.
Okay, I sure will. Let me bring her right in. Joanne, you are with us live.
Hi, how you doing? Hey, Drake, how you doing?
Good. I've got a question for you.
Sure.
You gave me a bunch of information about this Agenda 21 that I was not aware of. I don't know how I missed it, probably because I've been busy trying to get information other places. Do you have any idea as to when these people are looking at taking this vote?
They're finalizing the document, which is UN, actually it's a UN Constitution, and it will be overriding the U.S. sovereignty and using sustainable development. You know, I wouldn't have believed this story 5 years ago. Somebody started telling me about Agenda 21, and I was like, yeah, you're crazy. Well, now they are now calling it themselves. They're calling it Agenda 21, and this document is being finalized at the Rio Plus 20. It started with the Kyoto Protocol. And if you may have noticed all this money going to the USAID and the International Bank of Settlements and the IMF and more money being given to the UN. Well, now they're over there. As a matter of fact, Hillary's there as we speak, promising $20 billion over to Africa for more Solyndra-style clean energy programs. Of course, you know it's all money laundering. But what they're mostly interested in is this document. The document, they're calling it a focused political document, which means constitution, ladies and gentlemen. And this will definitely be surrendering U.S. sovereignty. It's treason as far as I'm concerned, because Obama was down there and he was talking to Putin. Actually, he was getting beat up by Putin for 2 hours. But, you know, they are putting the final, you know, crossing the T's and dotting the I's on this UN Constitution. This is the globalists, and they are making their move. This vote will be taken next week. They haven't set the date yet, but it's definitely next week. So I would consider probably Tuesday or Wednesday would be my guess. And they'll probably do it all right, maybe it'll be Monday or Thursday.